deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want a ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
We are going to have Herman Moore and Chrissy on here in a minute. As soon as they get on, we will have that on to talk about the Lions' loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. But right now, I'm with my guy, Anthony Rohr of the Lions UK. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Mike, how's things? It's first day and a lot of emotion today, let's just say. They really put us through the ringer today, which, just like pretty much every day last season, there's no kind of easy days supporting this team, is there?
It's hard being a Lions fan, folks. It's hard being a Lions fan. We got Joey two times in the building. No names. 9 drinks. Justin May, the rapper. Chrome King T says, I told ya. Well, I think pretty much all of us told. I didn't think the Lions are going to win. So, initial thoughts. Break it down really quick, Anthony.
Right. So right now I'm emotional, and when I'm emotional, I tend to be a bit more critical than I do when everything simmers down and I start to reflect on things a bit more. My initial things is I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed to hell at the end of this game. We made so many basic mistakes all across the board. Some of our senior players, Tracy Walker got ejected, Goff made some mistakes, and this game was here to be won. Yes, it's another case of we've had to come from too far behind and we've just not had enough time to do it. But, this game was here to be won, even down to that last third down conversion when we had Miles Sanders dead to rights and he scampered away, and it was just, I'm frustrated right now. I'm really, really frustrated. I don't care that this was just a 3-point margin of victory. We could have won this game. And just right now, that's eating me up.
But see, that's the thing. We always could win the game. But we're on the wrong side of it right now. Of these, where they talk about the one-score game. That's the case because we're on the wrong side of it right now. And that's why we're getting these L's. When I looked at the Philadelphia Eagles, I thought talent-wise they were better than our Detroit Lions. From offense to defense, better. So I'm really, for them to do, again, I said 38-32, and they scored 35-38. So I'm not upset because this is what I expected. I guess if you expected the Lions to win or if you expected it to be, the Lions going to go and beat the Eagles, I could see why people would be a little upset right now, but it literally played out exactly what I thought. The run game, we just couldn't stop Jalen Hurts, dual threat quarterback. Again, we've seen it in preseason. The Atlanta Falcons, Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota ran all over the Detroit Lions. Exactly what happened here with Jalen Hurts. The inability to stay with him or have somebody on him, they just refused to do that. And they blitzed heavily. Was that a mistake, not coming up with a game plan with Jalen Hurts?
I mean, you can say that, but then if you keep aspiring for him to deal with things like that, then you can't pass rush how you want to. You've got one less guy in coverage, so there's more danger of getting hit downfield. It all sort of works out differently depending on what you do with it. And, for me, I liked the blitz heavy pressure. I saw a lot of plays, we did get some bona fide pressure on him today. Yes, we didn't get the sacks that we liked, but we flushed him out the pocket a lot. We forced him to run and scramble. And yes, he is good at that, but at the same time, it's something that we as a team have not done in forever. And when, you're coming up against the likes of Carson Wentz next week, who can't move at all, you're going to cause him some real problems playing that way. So, while I agree that maybe something could have been done in there, I think, the game just goes a different way if it does. Instead of running over us, they probably hit us a bit more downfield, get their points that way. So, like you say, it was. I like the defense overall. I thought, you saw some really, really scrappy performances in there from some of our youngsters. You saw Akuda look great.
Yep.
Rodriguez looked great. You saw, that's what you want this year. You want these
Yes.
guys to start showing out and going well for the future. So I was not unhappy with the blitz heavy schemes that they used today because
No,
I've been calling for it for ages and it worked
I
for a
100% agree
degree.
with you. You had to be aggressive, and everybody kept saying, like, why do they just keep blitzing? I'm like, you have to be aggressive because we're going against a team right now. I feel like their offense could move the ball on us. So yes, you're going to make mistakes, and there's going to be a big play, but every once in a while you'll stop them, and we've seen that in this game. So I thought that was the right decision to make. With those blitzes, you talked about Jeffrey Okudah. I 100% agree with you. I thought he did really good in this game. He made one mistake. I think that was a mistake. Other than that, he looked like probably the best corner on the team. He was doing better than Amani Warrior, in my opinion. Now, that could be just one game, but I thought he did a pretty good job, and that's huge for us, folks. We needed to see something out of Jeffrey Okudah. So go ahead and talk about Okudah.
I loved it. I thought it was really good in coverage. I thought it was physical up at the line. You saw, they kept replaying it when he's at the line of scrimmage with the receiver. He's getting physical. He's not letting them break away from it, and he looked great. And like you said, he was the only good corner we had out there today. Amani got cooked that many times by AJ Brown that I lost count, and I'm not even going to talk about that other one. That other one that AJ Brown wore like a fur coat when he dragged him about 10 yards down the field for a first down. It's absolutely disgusting. And how he's still on this team, I have no idea. But as far as Okudah goes, I was really impressed with him today. He locked Devonta Smith down. Everyone said, Devonta Smith's going to get us with his pace and that. I think, what was it, 4 targets when Okudah and Devonta Smith were together? 0 receptions, 0 yards gained. That's why they kept going to AJ Brown. They kept targeting the field away from Okudah. Okudah was coming up to the line, getting aggressive. I think he had a tackle for loss in there as well. It's just one game. It's a very small sample size, but that is exactly what you wanted to see from him week one. Hurts went and picked on all the other cornerbacks because he daren't throw at Okudah, and that's kind of what you want from your 3rd overall pick. So, yeah, I was really happy with Jeff today, and hopefully, we were worried that, I think he had cramps in first half, did he? We were worried he was injured again, but he came back out, he kept playing, fought through it, showed the grit that Dan Campbell insists the players have. So, it was a good week for him.
You're talking about one player you don't want to mention. I'm going to mention his name, and I'm going to say it right now. Folks, Will Harris needs to be released from this football team. Put Chase Lucas in there. Chase Lucas was inactive. Will Harris has no business being on this team. He got abused. And it was, I'm done with this. I'm done with the lack of play from him. Have Chase Lucas, who has a higher ceiling, have him active. Do something else, Will Harris. He is proven now time and time again he's a net negative to this football team, and it's hurting us. One thing I wanted to say I was so delighted to see. Now, the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles is really good, really underrated defensive line. Our offensive line held their own. I was impressed with the way we could run the football, and Jared Goff, he had some pressures, but it wasn't as much as you would expect. I was just on the Philadelphia Eagles right before I got live, and they were upset that this defensive line, they couldn't do anything. And I explained to him, we have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Stenberg, in place of Big V, did an awesome freaking job. What do you got to talk about the offensive line there?
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. They did their job against a very good defensive line. It's got a mixture of talent. It's got a mixture of young talent and experienced talent in there. Don't forget they drafted just Milton Williams last year, looked really good. Jordan Davis this year. You've got Fletcher Cox. You've got Hassan Reddick in there, and look at what they were able to do in the run game. DeAndre Swift, what was it, 130 odd yards from scrimmage today, or just rushing alone for him today. The run game, when it was good, when the play calling was good, then the run game was amazing. It was when the play calling got bad that I don't blame the offensive line for some of the play calls in that game. It was terrible. And I think you could tell it was Ben Johnson's first game doing it. But yeah, the offensive line got the run game going. They protected Goff well for the most part. And I even thought Goff did all right in some of the situations when he did come under a bit of pressure as well. I'm not putting that interception entirely on him. I thought he did all right in the circumstances. Started slow, got his confidence, did well.
Yeah.
Offensive line did a real good job. And like you say, Stenberg, he did really well. I think there was one time when he got blown up sometime in the first quarter. when we started having those 3-and-out drives. But outside of that, you know, we've invested in this guy for 2 years. Hank Fraley's had 2 years to get all the little bits out of his system to get, him ready and prepared to take part in this offensive line, and he looked the part. Hank Fraley's a damn genius, I've got to say that. But yeah, I hope Stenberg can keep that up because we're going to need it.
If he keeps it up the next 3 weeks, Big V, goodbye after this season. Just go ahead and make Stenberg. I love what I saw. I mean, this was a really good defensive line, and he was a mauler in there. This whole offensive line was mauler. MVP of this game. And I can't wait for Herm to get on here in a couple minutes. Herman Chrissy is going to get on here because he loves DeAndre Swift. No doubt about it. Oh, and we got my guy, Everything King's going to jump on. So let me send a link to my guy, Everything King. He going to get on. DeAndre Swift. God, he lived up to it finally. He lived up to it finally. He looked amazing. Talk about Swift.
He ran like he'd got Juice Staley's boot firmly implanted up his backside, which is what he needed. A lot of people critique Juice Staley during Hard Knocks, saying, oh, he's too harsh on him. You can't talk to a player like that. You can't, be that way with him. Yes, you do. Anyone who knows him, fans on this team know that he just needs a bit of tough love sometime. And you could see how much that paid off today. He struggled a little bit to start with. I mean, he got a few early on. There was a little lull in the game where he had a few, ones that didn't really go for much and things spluttered a bit. But he got back into the game. He adjusted. He did what he needed to do. He found the gaps well. He ran tough. How many times did he truck a guy, take on tackles, keep going? The yards after contact, I will be interested to see what that stat is when it comes out. But I think it'll be a lot higher than it's been in some time. You could see what Juice Staley's done to his confidence in him as a running back. And I firmly believe he'll be a top 5 guy by the end of this year, thanks to him. So I just hope he can keep this up. And if the O-line keeps doing what it does, then there's no reason to think that he won't.
Talk about top 5 guy. We got a top guy here and Everything King. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, fellas, man? Hell of a game today, right?
Hey.
Hell of a game today. What's your initial thoughts, just right off rip?
Nothing that I didn't expect, to be honest. We had an opportunity to win, but I knew that the Eagles would be a tough team to try to stop as far as the run game goes. I don't think we're there on the defensive side of the ball yet in order to stop a team like, the Eagles with assault with, Jalen Hurts does this to everybody. It's what they drive their success off of. And I think we still have a couple of steps, probably moves to make before we can become a team to bottle a guy up like that.
100%, man. What'd you think about Okudah?
Okudah played well today. I think that pass interference call was crap. To me, it looked like he ran and he turned and looked for the football, but played well, made some solid tackles out there. Got nervous for a minute. Thought he may have been injured when he went to the locker room, but that wasn't the case. So, with him, it's all about health.
For sure. Swift, initial thoughts, man. He lived up to it today.
That's my guy, man. That's my breakout guy this season. Swift is, come on, man. He's just different. Easily top 5 running back in this league if healthy. He just has to be available. Like I said, Swift he's a dual threat running back, but it just seems like this season, especially at camp, he just seemed a step quicker. He had breakout written all over him, and you've seen that in a few of the reports written about him. So I expect big things from Swift this season.
Initial thoughts of your favorite cornerback, Will Harris.
You mean my why is this guy still on this team player? Yeah, Will Harris. Great defense on that play.
Enough said. What do you think about, I'm not going to say everything, King. I was really impressed how our offensive line handled the Eagles' defensive line. They're a damn good bunch. Really big, physical. And I was just, wow. I think the future is really bright going, we took the L here, but, folks, that's maybe the best defensive line we face all season. And what Goff get hit one time, sacked one time in that game? And, woof, and they were running the football like hell.
Yeah. Yeah, and on both sides of the trenches, I was surprised, for the offensive line out there, going out there, dealing with those big guys like Cox and Big Jordan Davis out there and us being able to run the football. But on the flip side, the pressure we brung today. When is the last time we seen this much pressure put on a quarterback? Even though he got away, he's Jalen Hurts. But when the last time we seen that type of thing? We was in that backfield. Aidan Hutchinson in the first 2 quarters, man, was literally in that backfield all the time.
Yep.
But Jalen Hurts is just slippery. He's quick. He's athletic. It's tough to get grasped on him. So, we are a young team. We're inexperienced right now, but we'll get there.
Talk about Aidan Hutchinson, Anthony, because I was getting people in the comment section were mad that he wasn't getting the sacks. And I was like, he's going against Jalen Hurts. It's close, but that's what happens when you're going against a guy like him. What is your analysis of our rookie right there?
I thought he showed out all right. Like you say, you didn't get the stats here on the first week, but I think, this is his first ever game in the NFL, and I feel like he was wound up like times 10 as far as you could go. You could see he was coming off like an Energizer bunny. He had so much energy, and it was to his detriment a few times. There were a couple of times he sort of overshot the quarterback because I think he was that eager to get through. But, that's what you expect from your first game in the NFL. You are sort of pumped and full of energy, and, sometimes there's just little bits there that you can do better going forward. Just sort of maintain yourself a bit more. Just, don't overshoot. But I thought he did really well. He was going till the end. That whole defensive line did. King mentioned it there. He was, I was quite surprised how much pressure they were able to bring here. I loved Aaron Glenn's aggressiveness in this. We had the NASCAR packages in, all the edges on. It's what we've been screaming for with the personnel that we have. And for the most part, it worked. It was just the fact that, again, we were up against a very good mobile quarterback, and he can break contain, which is a pain in the neck. But a guy like Carson Wentz ain't going to be able to do that. So I thought Hutch was decent. I think you'll see him settle down next week, I think, with more of a static target to have a go at. I think we'll start to see the productivity come through. But I think he's indicative of this new Detroit here. You saw the rookies stand up, play hard, make plays, and that's what they're going to be going forward. So there are a lot of reasons for optimism, despite the fact we gave up a 40 burger. There is a lot of reasons to be optimistic here.
Rodrigo, everything, King. Rodrigo, he was going. He
out there making time.
Rodrigo, man.
6th round pick we talking about here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man. Rodrigo loves to do one thing, and we all know what that is. That's tackle. That's hit. Be physical out there. And that's what he did today, man. He even put a guy in the ground and stood over him for a moment, man. I was loving what I saw out of him out there. Like I said, as far as the linebacker core goes, we still need some more help in the linebacker core. But for what it's worth right now, him getting those reps and getting a start out there just says everything, man. Definitely could turn into one of the bigger steals in this entire draft.
Anthony, we got to talk about Rodrigo with you. That's your guy. That is your guy. Talk about your guy, Rodrigo.
Oh, I'm going to love watching this guy so much over the next few years. It just brings a smile to my face every time I hear his name. We've all gone to bat for him over the summer. He's not just a 6th round pick in there. There's things, there's his size, there's his arm reach, etc. And, people say, oh, that could be detrimental in the NFL. But we all know differently. He's got the wrestling background from school, high school wrestling champion. You saw that today. That hip toss that he did of Jason Kelsey, Shawn Michaels would have been proud of that. That guy is 75 pounds heavier than him. Blocking him on a run play and just whoop, over he goes. Don't matter if you're bigger, I can beat you. And like I said, there's a little spear into the ground. He stands over the guy. He's confident, he's cocky, but just the right amount in there. And they say he may be one of the smallest guys out there, but he's got the biggest heart of a lot of them. And he made a lot of good plays today. And yes, there were some plays where he can improve. But man, he's a 6th round rookie who is starting in his first ever NFL game. The first chance he can get. All the good he did today far outweighed anything where there's a little bit of a need for improvement there. He's just, again, indicative of this new Detroit. He's like, I don't care that I'm a 6th round pick. I don't care that I'm a day 3 pick out the draft. That spot there, that's mine. I ain't letting it go, and I'm going to play like hell to keep it. And all you other linebackers, come get it, because they're going to have to do something to get him out of there now. I just had such a smile on my face watching it. Makes me smile now. I just do. I absolutely love him to death.
Chrissy and Herm will be on in a couple minutes. Once they get on, you'll put on, and they'll be taking Herm will take questions from you, but you got to do a super chat. So if you want to your question answered from Herman Moore when he gets on, send a super chat and you'll get it that way. What do you think about King? Because right now I'm seeing T in the comment section saying that the Bears are going to kill us and all this. We're going to lose on Sunday. I don't know about you, but the Commanders, I think that looks like a pretty easy win.
Um,
Just go ahead, man. Respond.
These people, man. The Bears, man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, 19 unanswered points against the 49ers in week 1 of the NFL. You know, say week 1 of the NFL. Joe Burrow he threw 4 picks today. You think he's gonna do that all season? You think Matthew Stafford's gonna throw 3 picks a game this season? It's the first week of the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Let's simmer down a little bit. Let's calm down a little bit. So it's a lot of nerves and jitters out there. You know, you heard Chark talk about that before the game, that he was going to have some nerves. You've seen the drop passes that we had today from some guys, very uncharacteristic, especially Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, you know, first, it's the first game of the entire season. Let's calm down. I think we're going to absolutely destroy Washington.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
Yeah, they're going to take all the frustration from this game. I'm looking for Aidan Hutchinson also to be productive that game. Him and Harris, especially when they bring those two on the same side, I really like what I saw. Austin Bryant, also another player that just continuous. I mean, just a playmaker. You know what I'm saying? He just has to be available. That's just what he does. So, you know, like I said, I'm looking for us to go and take care of business, man, against Washington, and that should get our feet on the ground, man, and get us running.
What do you think about that there, Anthony? We're going to get the white floors from us on Sunday versus the Commanders, and the Bears are the greatest thing.
Well, as much as I've sort of waxed lyrical a little bit now, for me, there is an underlying theme today, though. We have played well. We have not been beaten by, you know, this is a team who wiped us last year, and we played much better against them today and nearly win it. But this performance means nothing today if you lose against Washington next week. Dan Campbell said, you know, the next step forward is winning games, showing that you can compete against the teams around you. And the skeptic in me says, I've seen this story too many times. We fall behind after a really bad period of play. It was the second quarter today, 24 points given up. We fight all the way back. We just run out of time with that scrappy little underdog who nearly gets there. But at some time, you've got to start backing it up with wins in the weeks following this show. And it's not just a little flash in the pan. We don't need to be 10 points down to start playing. Washington are nowhere near as good as the Eagles. You've got to go out there. You're at home. I must say, though, the crowd today was fantastic. I thought they were amazing. The noise they brought, the enthusiasm they brought in, shows what Dan Campbell's done to this city in like 18 months, that he got them to buy in and come to sell out. A game we were all expected to lose against a good team. People still came. They brought the noise. They made it difficult for them. You've got to do that again against Washington next week, against a team who's not as good, and you have to beat them. Or today was for nothing, and I expect them to win next week now. That is what I demand, and that is what we need to do. So I think we should beat them. I think this pass rush looked good. I think Wentz is static. You go in there, you put him under pressure. That defense of Washington can't hold up all day if you're relentless against it like we were relentless today. So we're not going to get blown out by Washington. And the Bears, well, congratulations on winning against the 49ers on basically what was, you know, a lake. You know, well done. You sort of kind of brought the conditions into it for you then. When your time comes, we'll beat you as well. So...
Jared Goff. Let's talk about Jared Goff, King. I think he had 6 yards passed in the first half, and it changed up a little bit in the second half. Give me your thoughts on Jared Goff.
I tread water when I talk about Jared Goff, because a lot of fans, man, they get kind of hurt when you speak the truth about it. I seen that Jared Goff that we seen the first half of the season last season. You can remember we went against the Ravens, man, and we just could not do anything in the first half. And then in the second half, we decided to turn things up, and it caused us to lose a game by how much? 3 points. So similar situation today. Just stagnant, man. Couldn't do anything out there. His receivers didn't do the greatest job helping. Let's be honest about that.
Yep.
But he did overthrow a lot of footballs today. He did, to me, take some sacks he really didn't have to. The sack he really didn't have to. He could have got rid of the ball, if you ask me. Jared Goff is one of the few quarterbacks in this league that cannot extend plays. And that's tough for us. We're one of the few teams in this league that don't have a quarterback to do that. A lot of these quarterbacks, they can extend plays. Goff is not a guy that can run. He's not a guy that's going to get you an extra 5 or 10 yards when he's facing that type of pass rush. So we suffer from that. And with him not putting the ball down the field and making those big plays, it hurts us. It hurts us. I'm not even going to sit here and say it doesn't. It hurts us. So, the fact that he took attempts down the field, I was pleased with that. Please keep doing that. They weren't on point, they weren't accurate, but at least you did it. So we do have a guy, waiting to play in J mode that's coming. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to need that ball down the field. So you got to get yourself comfortable in this offense. But once again, like I said before, it is the first game of the season. New receivers, new receiving core, got to build chemistry. So, like I said, I'm going to continue to give Jared Goff the opportunity to get things together, and hopefully we can have success.
Anthony, initial thoughts, Jared Goff, how do you play in this game?
I think in this game we saw a microcosm of Jared Goff's entire last season. So the first half of the game, like the first half of last season, he looked devoid of confidence. He looked uneasy when throwing. He looked bad when pressure was brought against him. And overall, he didn't instill a lot of confidence in you. Kind of like the first 8, 9, 10 games last year, where he really struggled. I think in the second half, you kind of saw a little bit of what you got towards the end of last season with him. The confidence to come back. Yeah, he did overthrow a few, but I think it was a touchdown pass to Chark was a beauty. Put it right down on a plate for him over the back of a DB. And, because when he threw it, I thought, yeah, there's no way he's going to get that. And Chark grabbed it. And I thought, geez, that was actually really good. So, I kind of saw in one game what I saw from him all last season. Hopefully, it's only taken one game this year, not 10. If he can come out next year and be more confident, start slinging the ball around, kind of start next week's game how we finished off this one, I'll feel a little bit more confident with him here. But I think for me, I don't think he's the long-term future here. I really don't. But at the same time, I think he can win us. Well, he can help us win games this year. If DeAndre carries on doing what he's doing on the ground, I think Goff is able to, get those touchdowns when you need him to. We're able to put points up on the board. We put 35 up on this Eagles defense, which people are saying has no holes in it. So we did something right today with him involved. So it was all right. First half was bad. Second half was better, but he needs to pick it up quickly this season because we cannot afford for him. First half of last season, Jared Goff. We have loftier ambitions this year, and we've got a lot of teams coming up who aren't great, who we need to take advantage of.
Good Goff, bad Goff. That's exactly what he is. He is, for me, you got to have a consistent quarterback play, like from the beginning to the end. So, he's got this season to figure it out. Again, I want to look at quarterbacks in the draft. That's my personal opinion. There's not a lot of excuses this year. We do got some weapons, especially when Jameson Williams get in the lineup. This offense should be on fire, should be on high power. DeAndre Swift has really shown. But what about T.J. Hutchinson, King? Because we got to think about extending this guy. What was your thoughts on his game today?
We targeted him here and there. I just want to see him more involved in the offense, me personally. I think TJ can still do great things out there. Like I said, a couple of passes here and there, one across the middle, one big pass towards the end of the game, man, that really helped us out and gave us a chance to fight back. But TJ is definitely been underused over the years. So I want him to be a bigger part of this package this season. Ben Johnson definitely needs to have him involved.
What do you think about T.J. Hutchinson there, Anthony?
He can't block really well, can he? We had the issues with blocking again today, which is a pain because if you are going to pay him like a top 5 tight end or whatever it is that it might be, he needs to be able to do that. And, it's just a part of his game that's not developed fully over the years. Receiving wise, I think he had a drop today. He looks all right, but I agree with King. You need to get him involved more. You need to design more plays for him because he's there to be a mismatch in the center of the field. That's what he is. Shots out to the sidelines and that today. I feel like we didn't really do much over that short to intermediate in the middle. Allow Amon-Ra and Hawk to feed, because that's where you could be really good on your offense. So I would like to see more of that going into next week. Whether it was just something specifically they had designed for today, I don't know. But he did all right. The most important thing is he's healthy going into next week. No injuries, no nothing like that. Same with a lot of them. Same with Jeff. No injury there. Ragnar looked all right. I think today, I don't think anyone went off injured today, did they? I think we did really well. So I was happy from that aspect of it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
always
Hawk's
good.
got a long way.
Injuries.
Hawk's got a long way to go before we consider paying him. Yeah, at this minute in time, I have absolutely no desire to pay him top tier money. Now, if he's realistic with what he wants and realizes he's kind of not done what he needs to be a top 5 tight end, then pay him. But I ain't paying him like a top 5 tight end for sure.
What about Jamal Williams? I felt like, for me personally, like he's good to get those 1 or 2 yards, but other than that, I don't want to see him really getting the football a lot, in all honesty. It was Swift. Every time he touched the ball, it's like, ooh, something could happen. Jamal Williams get in there in a first down and 10. It's like, yeah, bag line of scrimmage. I mean, it's good for the goal line. It's good to get the 1 yards, but I want to see some Craig Reynolds if they're going to mix it up. What are your thoughts on that, King?
Yeah, like I said, it depends on what they draw up for him, man. It's just what they decide to do with him. Like I said, you put him in those situations. Obviously, you're going to have some success with the size and the strength. But as far as the offense goes, yeah, I mean, Swift should have the ball in his hands as much as possible until you can prove me wrong. So, Reynolds, as far as Reynolds go, he does offer pretty much some of the same thing. It's the strength, the putting his head down in the run game. So, I don't mind that at all. But it depends on how Ben Johnson wants to use Williams.
Oh, my buddy left his wallet in my glove department. That's hilarious. He just texted me, so I thought that's pretty funny. So, what do you think about Stenberg and how he did in place of Big V, King?
Oh, man, that was a rodeo. Let's just say that. To be nice about it. Those 2 false starts were, yeah, definitely some jitters there. Definitely anxious. I mean, you got to expect that. I mean, come on, you got 2 guys in front of you that's not playing, and you get an opportunity. You got to expect that out of a young guy like Stenberg. But after that, I felt like he settled down. And he played pretty well out there. So, I was very, very happy with, seeing that.
Yeah, it was good to see. It was absolutely good to see. And soon Herman's going to be in there. I'm getting the text right now. Soon Herman is going to be in there, and it actually opened up. So we're just going to go to this thing once they do get in there anyway, so you know that it's actually going to happen. But, and I can't wait to hear their thoughts on this game plan. She literally does not know that we're live, and she walked right in front of there, so that's even hilarious. I did that on purpose, folks. Speak.
I want that helmet.
That's what it's all about right there. That's funny, folks. It's absolutely funny. So they're about to get in here. I can't wait to hear the take from Chrissy. I can't wait to hear the take from Herman on this game. Dang, it was exactly how I thought it'd play out, though, King. I said 32-38, Eagles win. Freaking 35-38.
Yeah, my prediction, the numbers were lower, but I said, man, close game. Definitely going to be a close game because this team is relentless. They're not going to just, I mean, last season happened, but whatever. By the end of the season, we were a different team. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I expected this to be a tough loss for the Lions, man.
Is that what everything you expected, Anthony? I don't know what your score prediction was before the game.
I think I had us down by a touchdown, so I wanted it to be a 1-score game as a minimum. I didn't want us to get blown out by it there. And if you're given that score before start, then yeah, you're probably going to take it. But like I say, you can't help but be a little frustrated by the mistakes that may have turned it in our favor today. It was just, yeah, it's just really frustrating. But overall, it's not too bad.
We got the 2 special 2-man crew in the building. Herman Moore and Chrissy. Chrissy, take it over. It's all yours. Except for I can't hear you. I do not hear you. Cannot hear you. 1 second. They will take over in 1 second. If you can see your face, it's hilarious. That's what it's all about, is having moments like this. Because if you don't have moments like this, then you don't have moments at all. So, yeah, just circling around. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to see she on mute. Yeah. No, it's probably over there on the other side there. She's looking at me funny. So I'm getting that mean eye over here. Now she's like, nope. So I'm going to let you guys see it. I hear you like a little bit. It's weird. It sounds rough. Audio check. Audio check. Well, they're going to get that squared away. Continue on. What do you expect next week, King?
Yeah, like I said, I expect us to go out and take care of business. I wanted to ask you something though, Mike. What did you think about that Tracy Walker situation?
I thought it was BS, man. He didn't try to do it on purpose. It was one of those things where he got up, he just started walking away, and they attacked him. I'm like, what the heck? I thought that was stupid. And then he gets thrown out of the game. That was ridiculous.
I mean,
the quarterback slide needs eliminating.
He's a running quarterback.
Yeah, if you played any type of football whatsoever, man, like I said, you can't stop mid tackle. You know what I'm saying? Like, they literally went at each other at the exact same time. It's nothing else he can do.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a split. I mean, you can play replays all the time. That's unrealistic. We're talking about real game speed here. It's nothing you can do. They really got to fix something.
I know, and they said it was the referee's choice to throw him out of the game. Come on, man.
The officiating was awful. The officiating was awful today. The amount of intentional grounding Hurts was doing, at least twice, which he should have been called for. Yep. Jordan Mailata nearly took Aidan Hutchinson's shirt off on 3 occasions from holding, and they didn't call it. And yet there was one on, I think it was Stenberg, where he kind of touched his shoulder. It's like, you're going to call that, but you're not going to call the most blatant holding you'll ever see in your life. There was a face mask that didn't get called on. The officiating today was awful, and I think some went for them as well. But I didn't get a lot of those decisions there. I really, honestly didn't. And the stuff with Walker was wrong. You know, their guy came and shoved him in the back. What are you going to do? Just sit there and go, oh, yeah, you do that. Of course you're going to turn around in the heat of the moment. You'll clout him around. You just gave him a slap. You didn't even punch him. It was just a slap around the head, like, don't do that again. Otherwise I will hit you. But, yeah, it was BS, this was. Absolute.
Yeah, seeing all the same things that you see, man. A lot of the penalties missed out there, especially with the Jared Goff sack where he grabbed his face mask. I've seen that. They kept playing it on the replay, so it was literally right there. But yeah, clearly grabbed his face mask with another guy wrapped around his legs. But the calls were just terrible today. They were horrible. Even though I'm not going to use that as a reason why we lost, but they were terrible. Definitely noted.
What about that onside kick? The onside
Bad
kick.
Decision.
What do you think about that one?
Bad decision.
Awful.
Unnecessary. It was unnecessary at that point. Where were we, down 10 at that point? We just stopped Hurts, right, on a drive, right? So I think you have some confidence in your defense, man, and give them an opportunity to go out there and make another stop. You don't give them half a field against a team that's killing you in the backfield and with their quarterback. You don't give them half a field to score, and that's exactly what they did. And you see what the score is at the end of the game. Just a bad decision.
What'd you think of the onside kick, Anthony?
I feel it was awful. You know, I admired what the team did last season when it came to the trick plays, the onside kicks and that, but it was always situationally sort of assessed. You did it at the right time. Today was not the right time, like King says. Can you imagine being Aaron Glenn? You have been on the field for a long time at this point. The defense had been on a lot by then, and they were still getting stops against them. And, you know, you finally score some points, you get back into the game, and then they put you in a short field situation like that. There are 2 words that I would have used if I was Aaron Glenn, and I can't really say them on air here at the minute, but I know damn well he'll have said them. It was just, it was bad situationally, and we didn't, you know, and we conceded a touchdown from that, put us even further behind. It was just, I felt like they were trying to be too clever today. You just needed to be sensible, take the game situation into account. We had time to force them 3 out. We had time to get the ball back, and yeah, we really, really shouldn't have done that. And it wasn't a good kick either. I don't know why they tried the little lump in the air bit. Just went straight to their guy. We never had a chance of getting that back. So no, bad call.
I didn't really hate it. I didn't like it. I understand because the defense was sucking at that point. Maybe they felt like they just had to get the offense back on board. I understand them not like, right, we just scored, or they just scored, now they're going to get it again. So that is a killer to Aaron Glenn for sure. What do you think about going forward in that 4th down? We had an opportunity to get a field goal, but they decided to go for it and actually get the touchdown by DeAndre Swift.
Oh yeah, I'm going for it.
Yeah,
great call. I'm going for it all the time.
All right, we're good.
Every time.
Yeah, great call.
And it was great play from Jonah.
Go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead.
It was a great play from Jonah to get out to the outside and get that block there with him. He had a really, really, really good game. And, I thought apart from that, the play calling was decent. People criticised Campbell for the timeout he took at the end of the first half. We were trying to get the ball back at that point. You are not expecting Will Harris to get absolutely rinsed like he was on that big play. We nearly got the ball back off them. So I thought apart from the onside kick, tactically they were pretty good.
We got Chrissy and Herman now in the building, and we can hear him. Chrissy, take control. It's all yours.
Hear us. Hey, so yeah, Herman and I were at the game, and we specifically have not spoken or discussed the game yet, so that we don't get that interviewed thing before anyone else can actually hear. So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Man, it all depends on exactly what angle. By the way, hi everybody.
Hi. Yeah.
Say, I know it was from a game standpoint, it was pretty exciting. I was very excited to see that the enthusiasm that was around the team this year. I know a lot of that is driven off of the Hard Knocks, and also a lot of the publicity, a lot of the media that has been around this football team, and it didn't disappoint. I will say that. We talk about teams that Coach Campbell said in this press conference at the end. He doesn't want to get into the mindset of we gave it a great effort, but we came up short. And basically in saying that, I think he's spot on. The players' mindset is that this is a team that wants to get over the hump. They're not going to accept the fact that 38-35 was a great opening showing in a game. This is a game they expected to win. It played out, I will have to admit, exactly the way I thought it would play out. There were some things that were a little different. I thought the tight end battle would be a little bit closer. TJ Hutchinson is someone that I think the Lions definitely are underutilizing. I think he is the difference in helping them to extend plays and drives. When you look at the fact that they had 5 drives that were 4 plays or less, it came down to the fact I don't think they took advantage of the fact that the Eagles were playing man coverage with 2 deep safeties, and they were bringing people up to the line of scrimmage at times. I don't think they took advantage of the fact that TJ Hutchinson can be that guy to get you the 4 or 5 yards that you need, even getting some of the other players in there. However, it's great to see that they were taking shots down the field. It was great to see offensively that the Detroit Lions were looking at ways in which they could build confidence in this offense. And I've been telling you guys all year, come on now, King. Come on now, Mike. Anthony, come on, man. DeAndre Swift. I'm telling you.
Well,
and I'm not gonna go off because I know we want to hit lots of points. But I'm telling you, this is a team that has balance better than I thought. I think they're a little bit ahead of where I thought they would be. They came up short, yes, but I'm not ready to say they're over the top, but I'm definitely not saying they didn't make improvements. So I'll pause there.
Okay. So
and turn it over.
Yeah. So here's what I would love to do, because, me and my novice opinion, I would like to tell you where I thought there were some key turning points, and then you can fill in the gaps for me.
Fair.
with everything about, how the, what schemes everybody was playing and what you saw with your eye, because that's definitely not where I'm going to break it down. So for me, first of all, I'm sitting here, excited, just like you were, going, DeAndre Swift. Thank you. We finally have a running game. And that's the thing that surprised me, is then I'm looking at the next half or the next quarter. And to me, there were some key points here. So there was the drive that we had, the 3 and out with 10 minutes left in the half. Did not attempt a run. 3 incomplete passes. Okay, that's a turning point. Then they have the pick 6. And to me, those 2 plays are significant. I highlighted all the run plays. And when you look at the second quarter, it's like they had the ball and we didn't run the ball, which to me was until we score the touchdown, right? Mm-hmm. So when we ran the ball, we moved the ball. So there's that, okay? The other thing is, because when you're talking about breaking down your wide receivers, because you broke down for Wide Receiver Wednesday, you talked about Josh Reynolds being a go-to player and DJ Shark needed to step up. Both of those guys had really significant key plays on third down. So for the drive in which we scored before the end of the half, your boy Josh Reynolds, like you were talking about, could be an outlet for Goff when he needs somebody. That was 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5, 28-yard play. Mm-hmm. Kept it alive. We score. Okay. So there's those. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of the key plays, is we need to run the ball. And then everything you said pretty much came true in terms of where we would get hurt. So looking at Hurts on the ground, 90 yards, that's tough. And then the big thing for me is what you guys were talking where we got on, is the onside kick. And when he's asked about it in the post-game press conference, he says, I just wanted the ball. That is like the worst place to do this. I mean, we're in the game. You give them the ball on the 49.
Right.
And that to me is what I was struggling with last year, was kind of the knee-jerk, I just want it back right now. So I'm just going to make this call. And yes, if it works, we're probably talking about it differently. Right. But actually, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably still say I didn't like it. But yeah, so those are my takeaways. Now you go ahead and fill in the blanks for what you saw.
Well, I don't know if the guys have anything they want to add to that, but I definitely believe in looking at this game. There were a few things that I picked out earlier in, pre-game, and talking about what we're going to be big and who would win which battles. A lot of people ask, why don't I pay a lot of attention on both sides of the ball? If you really focus on one side, you understand what the other side has to do in order to be successful or not be successful. So you can pick both. You can pick matchups. I get all that. But what I picked early in the week, I said, listen, the Eagles have the stronger running game. That came to fruition. They outrushed the Detroit Lions. They had the more potent running attack. But I also predicted that DeAndre Swift would be the most important and the most explosive running back of the game, and he was. I talked about A.J. Brown and the receiving unit for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I said as a whole, I don't think they were as good as the Detroit Lions collectively, but yet A.J. Brown individually would be the key to their passing game, which he was. But I felt the Lions had more weapons to go to than the Eagles in their passing game. I felt that you had a better quarterback in terms of a pocket passer in Jared Goff than you had in Jalen Hurts. But I felt Jalen Hurts was going to really, if they did not take advantage of the fact they gave up, over 10 yards a carry on 7 carries last year to the same quarterback. If they didn't contain him, he would basically become that second running back. And you got 2 running backs for over 90 yards. And with that, you almost have 2 100-yard rushers. That is damaging to your defense.
Yeah.
And when you look at the whole piece, when we put it together, it kind of went exactly where I planned. The only difference was I think the Lions missed opportunities. We talk about the onside kick. I think that was kind of ill-timed, because if you don't make it, you really put yourself in a bad position. I think it was too early to have to take that risk. But on the other side, there were opportunities to really avoid a lot of the 3 and outs, and definitely having 5 drives that stalled under 5 plays. Mm-hmm. That's your ball game for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and one more thing, and then I definitely want to turn it over to the guys, but in the first half is really where they dug themselves into the hole, right? So third down, they improved. So I think they were 2 of 9 maybe in the first half, and then they ended up, I think, 7 of 8. So on third down. So on third down, they got a lot better. And then AJ Brown, I mean, 128 yards in the first half, and that long reception going into the half that ended up giving them the touchdown.
I was going to ask these guys. So when I looked at this in the beginning, I thought Philadelphia actually was in trouble because the Lions came with so much pressure. They were basically saying, listen, you're going to have to beat us with the pass. And they to me showed complete and total disrespect to Jalen Hurts and saying, you know what, I don't think you can beat us with your arm. The Lions played that way. The defensive back, the secondary, when they were getting to the quarterback, hey, get to the running back on your way to the quarterback. That's the I thought was the strategy that was really working. And somewhere it got abandoned. I thought the running game was working for the Lions, which was a balanced attack. That stopped, being something they went through. And I'm gonna give them some credit. They when they started having problems with the running game, the Lions started to shift to the passing game. And it paid off for them. They ended up, having some drives. They had some success. They put some points on the board. If you really look at the scoring drives, but I just think they got away from some things that were effective, and they just did not have the patience to stick with it long term. That would have brought them that. So I was interested in getting your opinion on just kind of the whole, when you dissect this game and you look at what they were doing well and where did it start to turn. Yeah, we can point at a play, but are you looking at it and saying they abandoned a scheme that potentially could have let them be in a much better position down the stretch?
King Anthony?
I totally agree. We had our chances to be consistent in what we were doing. We should have kept running the football, if you ask me. I'm always in the business of I want the opposite team to stop me at what I'm doing well. And for us to go away from running the football, we literally just drove down the field and just shoved it in. I thought that was going to be problematic. We abandoned that too soon, if you ask me. As far as the onside kick, definitely at that point of the game, like I was saying, unnecessary. It was unnecessary. It was just a bad call. There's no other way to put it. It was just unnecessary. Give your defense opportunity to, go and try to get in 3 and out situation where you are in a better position at the end of the game. We lose the game by 3 points, and that's simply because you look at it. We gave them a half field and we gave them a easy 7 points, so. I mean, we're struggling against Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is just Jalen Hurts. That's just what they live by. That's their offense. We did get in the backfield consistently. I love what Aaron Glenn was dialing up. We did get back there consistently. Aidan Hutchinson himself in the first half was amazing getting in that backfield, but he just couldn't get his hands wrapped around Jalen Hurts. So, like I said, it's not like he's some easy quarterback to get your hands wrapped around. He's a slippery, athletic, and fast quarterback. That's what they live by. So, like I said, overall with this game, we had moments where you saw a lot of positive things out there, but we still have a lot of learning to do. We're one of the youngest teams in the NFL, and we'll get there.
Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a King in a way. I liked what they were doing in terms of scheme and that today. I loved how aggressive Aaron Glenn's defense was. Like you say, at the start, it did get at the run. They stopped Hurts from being able to pass it round. I think the Eagles just adjusted a little bit. And at the end of the day, it came down to their X-factor players performing for them. When you've got a quarterback who can break contain all the time the way he has, you can have the best coverage on the planet. You can have a decent pass rush, but if the play breaks down and he's able to get out of there, there's very little that you can do about it. And then when it came to AJ Brown, he made a lot of critical plays for them. They put him on our weaker cornerbacks. They were just able to move it around a bit. If it hadn't been for them two, then, you're looking at a completely different game. It was, I don't think Aaron Glenn could have really done a lot more in terms of the way he did it. But, I was just glad they were more aggressive because they were so passive last year as a defense. And, I think those plays came in there, and it's unfortunate with the offense. We had this problem again last year as well. You can't keep the scoreboard moving. The Eagles today kept putting points on the board. We didn't. And we seem to go through this period in a game, whether it be a quarter or not, where, as Herman says, we go 3 and out, 4 and out. The drives are not long. It stalls. We get into too much of a hole, and then we've got too far to come back from. And you saw today when we were in that hole, there was a lot of run, pass, or then it was pass. It was all very predictable as to what you're going to do. If you're passing on first down, then you're likely going to be passing on the later ones if you're behind the sticks. If you're running it twice, then of course you're going to pass it third time. It became a little predictable in that point, but then they started to mix it up again, and you've just got to work these little kinks out in the system, really. But I think overall, when it was good, it was really good today, and you kind of hope that they can be more of that going forward and just get a little bit of the lethargy out their system when they're not doing well.
This is literally exactly what I thought it'd be. Herm, Chrissy, everyone in there. I predicted a score of 38-32, ended up being 38-35. Dual threat quarterback. I thought maybe they'd attempt to try to contain Jalen Hurts. They said, no, we're just going to go ahead and go all blitz, which I'm perfectly fine with. Go all in, because if you know that he's just going to run all over you, at least attempt to make a play. And Okudah, I got to say, for him as a defensive back, he did a phenomenal job when they were saying, okay, go ahead and throw it against me. When Okudah was going against Smith, and then when he got moved around against A.J. Brown, it was locked down. It was a lot better than what I even expected. So kudos to him in the secondary. What was your thoughts on Okudah, Herm?
Well, I thought he did a really good job of one, just getting in the mix. You look at the fact that he was incorporating. You look at his tackles. You look at the fact that he was one of the leading tacklers with the Lions. You look at the top 3 or 4 players. Jeff Okudah is one that had one of those quiet, solid games. You're not going to hear a lot about him. He wasn't spectacular on the highlights, but he was in the mix. I just wanted to say one thing. When we talked about Jalen Hurts, everyone knew what the plan was. We knew who could hurt the Detroit Lions defense. And the only thing I was surprised, when you dial it up and you decide to go man, or you decide to bring heat and you decide to bring pressure, when you have a dual threat quarterback, take Lamar Jackson, someone like that, you got to have someone who's spying that guy all the time. They don't care what happens in the secondary. They don't care if someone's missing a coverage, guy gets beat one-on-one in the secondary, but that person is assigned specifically to that quarterback as if he is a running back. So if he goes, you go. And but with Jeff Okudah, that brought some things. I thought with Walker, and I thought the defense just played early on with a different type of passion and tempo, that if they can build upon it and they can clean up some things, the Lions can be good. The concern that I have, and I'm just going to throw it out there right now, is this, and this is what I saw. The Eagles are a balanced offense, but we know they want to run the football. We know if you look at how they softened up the Detroit Lions to get to the pass, it was through the run. It was through Jalen Hurts. It was through just continually trying to, even if it was 3 and out or whatever, they were going to commit to the run to soften them up. They're going to find teams that they face who are very efficient and very good at passing the football. They're going to find teams that have an adequate or decent or capable running game. They can't get in shootouts with teams like that. So I'm looking to see how will they use the running game, being the Detroit Lions, to really balance out the game, Chrissy, and also to be able to really slow the pace to where it keeps them competitive for 4 quarters. I do like the fact that we weren't talking about Lions are in it and they're losing it in the third, as much as the Lions are fighting their way back into a game. So we know they're going to fight for 4 quarters. And this is a team that I don't think we have to worry about making dumb mistakes or quitting. We got to make sure just everything's happening on pace. So I'm excited. And it's not cautious optimism as much as it is. I'm looking at it and going, okay, they've done something to give me confidence of improvement, but there's still some cleanup. And Coach Campbell touched on that a lot. There's a lot of cleanup that's got to happen. And I'll be curious to see where they pinpoint that and how aggressively they go after it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love hearing you talk about the nuances of the game and going deep in with the game. Where I look at it as high level, I didn't play. So I'm going to look at it from high level. And for me, when I look at the defense and what Aaron Glenn's done with the defense and how he's been able to, and you see this with good game callers, game managers, people who can go ahead and coach their way into making their players better. Mm-hmm. And we've seen Aaron Glenn do that. And so that's where I hope that Dan Campbell can get there, to where, and you can speak to this as a player, but when I look at it, it's making the plays that you keep your players in the game and you keep them excited about what's going on the field. And that's where I get a little concerned sometimes in terms of kind of Coach Campbell's willingness to make these kind of flashy decisions instead of going with, like, I was glad that on the last drive that we kicked off and we didn't try an onside kick at the end, because it did give us an opportunity. It gave us a chance to at least win there at the end. So I was glad that decision was made. But what's your thought process on that in terms of kind of high level, in terms of, player morale and that kind of a thing?
In the post-game interview, I don't know how many of you and those that are watching right now saw it. When DeAndre Swift stepped up, I was listening to how he was explaining the tone, the tempo, and everything that was going on, what the expectations were. You know what stood out the most? A question was asked to him about a confrontation, not so much a confrontation, but a conversation that was happening between himself and his position coach. And he says, and they seem on the outside as viewers, we saw it, or the media saw it as, it seemed heated. He says, you know what? When we're on the field, the thing that he's learned and why they get along so well, he says it was about the message, not the tone. That's big. That is big. It is about the message that the coach was trying to tell me and not the tone. These players are dialed in. This coaching staff is dialed in with the players. The players are dialed in with the goal of what this team is trying to accomplish. Super, super excited. It was wonderful to hear. It is those small things that will make the difference between winning and losing ball games down the stretch. Taking the messages and the criticism from your coach, or the players relaying valuable information back to the coaches, and how it's being received, and then it's being acted upon. There's so many other things. Like I say, I'm going to go back and look at this film. I'm going to go back and look and see when I start looking at how I grade these players. But out of this, a game definitely that was winnable. It was one that I knew a lot had to go their way in order for them to win. I thought the fans brought it. I thought the players brought it. I thought the coaches brought their game, but I think they all need to clean up some things. And that's the beauty of when you lose a game, everyone acknowledges that. Now let's see how they follow that up.
Do you enjoy
Absolutely.
Aaron Rodgers getting smacked down? Because right now that's what's taking place. The Minnesota Vikings are beating the living H out of the Green Bay Packers 20-0. So if you like him getting smacked down, smash that like button right now. Who doesn't love Aaron Rodgers getting hit? So you gotta smash that like button right now. Gets more hits.
I was going to ask you, Herman. You mentioned there the relationship between Swift and Juice Staley that we saw on Hard Knocks. Obviously, Staley got after him quite a bit. He's quite critical. Give him a lot of tough love with his game. Specifically when it comes to taking contact, being able to get the yards after contact, not trying to break outside all the time, trying to get the yards inside. You were sort of at the stadium watching him today. Did you see those lessons that you saw him in that little microcosm on Hard Knocks translate through into his game? Did you see these little nuances now coming into it? Because he had a really good day. Are you seeing that more competitive toughness from him now, or the little mistakes he was making clearing up in terms of being a runner?
I saw a lot of it clear up. I know they're going to go in. No player grades out at 100%. And there's always something to get better at. There's always something that you can clean up to be more efficient, more effective, have greater communication. But you can see that the coaching and the support that a guy like Deuce Staley has given him has made a difference. DeAndre Swift, just his demeanor, just his character, just the way, I don't know a lot about him. And I'm not going to sit here and advocate for him totality and, he's everything in since sliced bread. But I do know this. In what I've seen from him and his development, and I've seen how he's handled the setbacks and the injuries, to come back and to just say, you know what, I'm just going to take it one play. I see this as a one play at a time kind of player. And he goes out and makes the most. And the other thing I love is the fact, the camaraderie that I see between him and Jamal Williams. They are a pair. I think they see themselves as one succeeds, the other succeeds. I don't see envy. I see support. I see a very collective unit that the Detroit Lions are going to depend on. And if they can continue to have that type of growth and that type of maturity from the young players, this is going to be a really solid piece. Lomas Brown will tell you this. Every lineman will tell you this. They love when you can run the football. They love the fact when you can have 6-7 yards of carry because it makes the game easier. Receivers will tell you it's good because if they also will start to understand the importance of run blocking and down the field and what block may spring. When you see these guys breaking tackles, they are hard to tackle one-on-one. So that's a strength that, I think will give the passing game time to continue to develop. I don't think it's there, but I think they're going to have to trust the passing game. I don't think the Lions really truly trust their passing game. I think they're trying things more than expecting things, if that makes sense. I don't think they expect the plays to be as successful as much as they expect to take chances in hopes that guys that will make plays, and that's what I see in the past. But in the running game, it looks like you look at the way the running backs run the ball. Okay. Look at Swift, look at Williams. Now, I want you to look at the receivers, with the exception of Amon-Ra St. Brown. He seems that he's really starting to feel it, right? But you look at the others, they do not bring that. I'm a playmaker. I expect to do this. You can't handle me. Coach, feed me the ball.
I love, though, TJ Hutchinson, DJ Shark, Josh Reynolds, they all had big plays. Obviously, we expect that out of TJ.
Absolutely.
But they had big third down plays. And I thought that was a really good sign of having this ride your run game, and then you have a reliable receiving group that can come through when you need them to.
Yeah, it's just that there's so many because of the weapons that they have. And guys, I definitely don't want to, hijack this whole thing here, but it's like when I see the receivers and it's when they're there, you almost want to feel unstoppable. Look at the reaction you get from an A.J. Brown, right? Look at the reaction you get from even a tight end who he didn't have a lot of catches, but when they caught it, it's like they were like, you put it in my hands, I'm making something happen. The Lions receiving unit will get there. I really believe they're going to get there. Jared Goff is a different guy. I think all of us will look at it. You can think what you want to think of him, but I saw a different confidence. I saw a player who said, I can look and I can survey the field from right to left to center. Wherever I need to go, I can go through my reads without pressure. And he's seemed poised. Did he have some bad throws? Yeah, he had some bad throws. But I think if he gives his receivers a chance, and they got to make some catches. There were a few drops today. If they just build from there, this could be a well-rounded unit. The defense will have to still get better because I don't think they face the best offense they're going to face all year. This isn't going to be their biggest challenge. So they're going to have to clean up a lot so they don't get into shootouts.
100%. We got a question here. Super chat from Dr. Detroit. If you want a question answered, throw super chats from Herman Moore. He's going to give it to you. Chrissy Herman, who do you think called for an onside kick in the third, and what are your thoughts about it?
We've talked about it. I think in terms of who called for it, any good head coach is going to take credit for good or bad. So whether it was his idea or not, Dan Campbell's going to say, I called it, I wanted it, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe the coach called it, and if he didn't call it, someone said, do you want to do an onside kick here? And he ultimately made the decision to go for it. I don't think many people are going to agree. I understand he's trying to say, hey, we got to get back in the game. We're down some scores. But at that time, I don't think that was a point to really push the pressure button and go for it. But hey, I'm not going to second guess coach in that sense. I will say I disagree with the call, but I wouldn't second guess him on that sense. You got to go with what you're feeling. I'm not on the field. I'm not going through the hours and hours of film study as he's going through, and I don't know his players and their. I think one thing he recognized, his team was getting tired. He kind of alluded to that a little bit in the press conference, that he didn't think their conditioning was up to snuff as where he thought it was, and some of the players he felt got tired.
You're talking about getting back on the field. Can you get on the field with that helmet, that blue helmet, really nice, and play for the Lions?
Hey, that blue is banging.
I know.
That's that rush color, man. I was like, you know what? That might be a nice. That's a good look. You know,
That is a good look.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I would kick that with blue or if I would kick that with, the gray or maybe the white. The all white uniforms. Not to digress and get away from the things, but I don't know if I'm really still feeling that all white. They wore last year, I think, in Green Bay and some of those others. That all white just didn't seem. It seemed too nice. You know what I mean? Like this. I don't know. It just doesn't work. But that blue is a part. That's a good color.
The cowardly
So Herman,
lion.
before we head out, do you want to talk about more after the game that's going to be dropping tomorrow and what you're going to be going through tomorrow?
Yep. So the more after game is really along the lines of what we've talked about. It's really breaking down some of the predictions that I had gone through earlier in the week, and how do I get to those points? How did I fare with that? How did the team play? But taking away those good and bad points, and then where are the areas of opportunity for this football team? So I'm looking to have really quick hits and talk about that with my more after the game. And again, super excited to be able to share that content here on LNU and bring that to these most loyal Lion fans, because they have a lot to be, I think, excited for. If nothing else, we know we got a team that's gonna play the entire game. And in saying that, you always give yourself a chance to win. But a lot to be learned here, a lot to continue to dissect as well as digest from this past game. But a good start, but an unfortunate ending for the Detroit Lions. But I don't think many fans are going to walk away feeling like they won't continue to try and at least come back for another game.
Words of encouragement from you two, really quick. A lot of fans are a little sour. You get the L. It sucks. Words of encouragement. We're not the same team we were last year. We're not a 3-win team.
Well, I'm not. I'm gonna be a straight shooter, and like I said, I'm hoping that people won't unclick buttons or anything like that. But I'm just gonna feed it to you real. If you want to follow what I say and you want to listen to what I say and you want to agree or disagree with me, you can always hit buttons and you can always leave comments and go from there. This is a team that's gonna have to prove they're not the same old Lions. I'm not gonna say they are. No team's ever the same team year to year, but if your record reflects that, or if your ability to miss postseason play reflects that, and you don't win division championships, you don't go to conference games and championships, and you don't ultimately play in Super Bowls, you are the same team. You may not get there playing the same way, but you are the same team, the same organization, same results. So I think this team has an opportunity to erase some of the negativity that has kind of gone with them because of some of the previous regime. But they're going to have to play their way out of it. They're going to have to win their way out of it. And it's going to have to be more than just talking about it.
Word.
I agree. Anyone else got to say anything? King? Anthony?
No, totally agree. I honestly think we're going to have a better season this season. I'm still sticking with my between the 7 and 9 win range right now. But if we could stay fairly healthy, man, I think, with the type of team that we have and what Dan Campbell has brought as far as culture, I think this team will be able to squeak out some pretty good wins this season.
I just real quick say to Herman and Chrissy, what was the atmosphere like there in Ford Field? It sounded amazing today, louder than it's been in years. Was it the same in there in person?
I would say it's the first time I could ever be in the suite and not have to worry about whispering, because I was afraid the people next door in the suite beside me was going to hear me. So it was so loud that even if someone was standing to you face to face and you weren't even sitting in the seats that were in the stadium, because we were in a suite, you still could barely hear the person in front of you. So kudos to the fans. I mean, they came and they showed out. And if this, I would argue, was the loudest I've ever heard Ford Field since I've been there. And I've been to a lot of games, Monday night games, but this was the loudest. So if that's something to say what kind of support is behind this team right now, the team, that part is covered for you. Now you have to do your part on the field.
And we got to do our part by saying smash that like button. We're 20 away from 100. What the? Come on, you guys can do it. We got another game on Sunday next week. Can't wait for more after the game tomorrow, because it's going to be more good than bad. Also, again, post-game show next week as well. Same time, same place. With that said, folks, adios.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it.